If you're looking to buy a house right up here in North Florida right now, this could possibly be the best time to look at those homes, okay, for a showing. And I'm going to get to all that in tonight's show on what I mean by that. Hey, also, this show's all about all the market here in Northeast Florida in this Jacksonville metro area. That's right, these 9 counties that serve up here. I cover those active listings, which is basically your inventory. I look and see how many are active under contract, how many went pending in the last 7 days. We look back and see how many sold in the last 7 days, how many new homes sold in the last 7 days. I take a look at their active inventory also, look at expireds, you know, look at withdrawals, a whole lot more, even look at some of those condominiums, and I put everything into a nice chart for you because I take you into the back end of my MLS account because I'm just a regular guy up here who happens to be a real estate agent, so I have an MLS account and I share that back end with you every week, okay? So let's start off right now with looking at those active listings in the back of my MLS. All right, here we are in the back end of my MLS account. This is Northeast Florida MLS. And we're going to start off with those active listings. And as I go through everything, I want you to focus on this spot right here where it says View Results, because as I click on the different statuses, the results will show up there. We'll look at them. Once I get all this information from the back end, I will download it. It goes into an Excel spreadsheet where I take out even more information than what we're looking at here, and I'll put those into an Excel chart for you so that we can compare the previous weeks and the previous years. All right, let's start off those active listings. That number is 9,639. And that is our inventory is what that is. Next, we're going to look and see how many sold in the last 7 days. That number is 274. Okay, next we're going to see how many are active under contract. That number is 1,238. Okay, those are ones that are under contract now with contingencies, and those contingencies could be anything from them having to sell a house before they can buy this one, appraisals, inspections, you know, or financing. All right, once those contingencies have cleared, they go into pending status. So how many went pending in the last 7 days? That number is 276. And when you add up the pending and the active under contract, that gives you the total under contract. Okay, next we're going to take a look and see how many people withdrew their listings in the last 7 days. That number is 67. And these are people that the house is still an active listing, but it can't be shown. And a lot of times they put them in withdrawal status because somebody's sick or they're working from home or they need to make repairs. Those are your most common reasons. Next, we're going to look and see how many listings expired in the last 7 days. That number is 126. Now, these are different than withdrawals. For these, they did not sell and a listing expired, so they took it off the market. Okay, next we're going to look at new homes and see how many new homes sold in the last 7 days. That number is 46. And then next we're going to look at the new home active inventory. So how many active listings, and that's our inventory, 2,273. Okay, next we look at the active listings and we look at how many are in foreclosure status, pre-foreclosure, and short sale. So let's start off with the foreclosure status. That number is 140. Next we're going to look and see how many are in pre-foreclosure status. These are of active listings, okay? And next is going to be short sales. That number is 39. Okay, all that data there, now I've exported it and it goes into an Excel spreadsheet that looks something like this. So it really is a mess to look at, all right? Well, I put it into a spreadsheet that I created. It looks more like this, and it makes it easier to track so I can look at it and share with you the previous weeks and the previous years. That's right, this is season 3, week 22 of this show, Bubba Watch, and that's where I've tracked this for all that time, ever since 2022. Okay, while all that stuff is calculating out, and I'm going to be pulling a lot more information than what I just showed you in the back end of the MLS, while that's all doing that, let's see what those interest rates did this last week. All right, here we are. We're looking at the rates. Right, first we're going to start off with 30-year fixed, and with all these rates, we start off here at the bottom. This one here, last week we're at 6.26. A lot of red arrows, one very little green arrow down. So the trend's been going up with these rates. We ended up with 6.62, so that is an increase. But again, when you look over to the prior year, we're still there. We're still a whole point below what we were a year ago. Okay, next we're going to look at those FHA rates. Okay, last week we were 5.78, and now we're out of the 5s, we're into the 6s. Okay, 6.12. But last year, look at that, we were over 7. Okay, so we're still a lot less than that. Again, you know, people trying to play the market, you know, for timing it or trying to time the market, I mean, doesn't always work out to your favor. I know there was probably a lot of people thought, well, I'll just wait. The rates are keep coming down. They're going to come down more. And now they're up. So if you're trying to get into something before the end of the year, you know, got to keep an eye on this stuff. And here we take a look at the VA rates, and 5.79 last week, the same pattern, and we hit the 6.15 that we ended up here now. It's again, it's still almost a point less than last year, but they're not going in the right direction for us right now. Hey, I know everyone thought the rates were going to be, you know, sliding down fast, you know, like one of those water slides after the Fed started cutting rates. But when you look at last year's, what they were last year's, this is still, things are better now. Okay, they definitely are. All right, now let's take a look at those Excel spreadsheets I was talking to you about. All right, here we are looking at my Excel spreadsheets after I've downloaded from the MLS, and what we're going to focus on right now here is this column. This yellow column says Season 3, Week 22. That is our current week. Now, these other yellow columns are the previous weeks, okay? And then this goes all the way back. Actually, this whole spreadsheet goes all the way back since I started doing it back in 2022. So we're just going to focus right now on this, and then you can look at the others and compare and see week to week. Now, over to the right, the white column, that is the previous year. Okay, last year at week 22, that's what the numbers were. And YOY is year over year. That gives the percentage of difference between the 2 years. SFH right here in this light blue or grayish column is where I pull out just the single family homes only and give you the data for those. Some people are interested in that only to see it separated from everything else. So here we start at the top here, and then over here on the far right tells you what those things are when I pulled off like from the MLS. So as you can see, active, sold, under contract, pending, all that information. And we're going to cover a lot more than this chart too, so stay with me. All right, here we all start off with the active listings, and what we see is 9,639. Okay, sold in 1 week, 7 days, 274. Now this is a huge drop, okay, but keep in mind, I know there's a lot of people out there that are getting all excited right now, but keep in mind, okay, we went through 2 storms through Florida. Now, while this area wasn't a direct impact, it was impacted. Myself, last week's show was delayed today because I didn't have power or internet, okay, for a couple of days. So we did have effects of it in this whole Northeast Florida area, and that could be the big cause for this. All right, active under contract, 1,238. Pending 276. When you add those together, the total under contract this week is 1,514. Withdrawals were 67, expires were 126. New homes sold, I mean, fell off the cliff, and again, it could be all storm related. 46 new homes sold. All right, new homes active, 2273, and down here in the orange, the percentage of homes sold that are new, it plummeted to only less than 17%. All right, over here, single family homes. We take a look at those. 7,114 active, again, 215 sold. 1,015 active under contract, 213 pending for a total under contract of 1,228. And as you can see, single-family homes make up the bulk of all home sales. Withdrawals were 52, expireds were 92. New homes sold that were single-family homes, 36. That is the large amount. And 1,788 is our active inventory of new homes. And their percentage in single-family homes follows pretty darn close to everything in general there, with just under 17%. And so then when you look at those previous weeks, you really see what it's like. And then, of course, the YOY just shows you what it was at last year at this time. And of course, we didn't have a storm in October, okay? All right, so how did people pay for those homes? All right, as we look here, cash jumped, okay? We were at, about, 1/4 there last week. Now we're almost a third were cash deals. Conventional, just over a third. FHA fell to 17.52%. VA also dropped, and others dropped also. All right, when we take a look at the foreclosure numbers and pre-foreclosure and short sales, now remember these are the ones that are in active listing status, okay? Not the total foreclosures for Northeast Florida, but the ones that are actually put up for sale. If the bank doesn't have it listed for sale, then it's not going to show up here on our MLS numbers. All right, those numbers for foreclosures, 140, that's down. Pre-foreclosure 17, the same. Short sales down 1. Total 196, and it continues to drop. Okay, the next thing I look at is homes that sold under list, at list, and above list, the percentage of homes that did. So here we go. Follows pretty much in line with what's been going on the last few weeks. Homes that sold under list, just over 75%. So over 3/4 of all homes sold are selling under their list price, okay? Homes that sold at list, almost 15%, and homes that sold above list, below 10%, okay? But up a little bit from last week, all right? And just keep in mind that those homes that sold above list, the amount that they're selling for above list is a lot lower than it used to be. So it could be $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, and when you're talking, a $400,000 or $500,000 home or $800,000 or more, I mean, that's not much of a percentage above. Next, we're going to look at the price categories and where these homes sold. So as you can see here in this column right here, these are the pricing. So, 500,000 and above, those in the 400s, 300s, 200s, below 200. So right here, we see over 1/4 of all homes sold are $500,000 and up, okay? Homes in the 400s, okay, dropped slightly. Those that are in the 300s also dropped a little bit, but homes in the 200s actually has been going up, okay? Homes that sold below 200, and that's like, increased a little bit, 13%, and those are going to be probably your mobile homes, okay, or manufactured homes, because now we call them manufactured homes. All right, over on the column on the right is where I take the new homes, and because we only had 46 units sold, and just show you how many units sold in those prices there. And you can see, they're trading back and forth here, the 300s and 200s as far as being that second place. Okay, speaking of new homes, where did they fall into this? All right, we had definitely an increase in the amount of homes that sold at list price, okay? So that could be the fact that in some cases, some of these new homes, they're coming out with a smaller list price, okay? Now, we're going by the original list price, okay? So some of them have appeared to drop probably that. Because the homes that sold above list, the percentage has dropped, and then the homes that sold under list, that dropped a little bit too. Hey, if you like the way I put this show together, the way I'm doing this with these spreadsheets and all that, then give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more and be always notified of when these new videos come out, then just give a subscription, hit the subscription button and subscribe to the channel. Because at any given point, I've got like 80 plus videos on here, and I've got a lot more videos other than just the market updates, okay, as you will see. Hey, all right, now what we're gonna do is, now that we've done all that, we've looked at those Excel spreadsheets, we're gonna sit there and look at something that's called MLS Advantage. All right, MLS Advantage is where I take all these other MLS boards that are in the 9-county area up here in the Jacksonville Metro and take a look at their sales, because they're smaller boards, but they do cross-sell into ours, and I cross-sell into theirs. So to get a better picture of the sold, which really gives you more units than what you just saw, I put it all together in that MLS Advantage. Also, I take by county, how many sold by county, and keep track of that every week so you can see what counties where all the sales are. Because some people are only interested in St. John's or Flagler or Duval, but we're going to take a look at that. So right now, let's look at MLS Advantage, and right after the MLS Advantage, I'm going to go into the condominium numbers. All right, here we are into MLS Advantage, and down here is our 9 counties: Baker, Union, Bradford, Clay, Nassau, Duval, St. John's, Flagler, and Putnam. Over here, we're going to hit that search button, and that gives us 349. All right, when we take all that data and put it into county, now the counties, like I said we do, we take a look here and we see for here, week 22, we see how they compared with last week's, the weeks before. So Baker, you know, had 3. Union still zip, okay, for 3 weeks straight, okay? No one's buying in Union right now. Bradford County jumped up to 6 there from last week's 0. Clay County dropped significantly, 36. Nassau, 24. Duval County, 153. St. John's really fell, okay, 73. Flagler also 43, and Putnam dropped till 11, where our total is 349. Okay, next thing I'm going to do here is take a look at our condominium numbers. Okay, this is where I pull the condo specifically out of all that data and just look at them alone, just because of the condo situation in Florida being such a mess. All right, right now here we're looking at week 32 in condos. Now that's different than the other weeks of the regular because I didn't start the condos at the same time I did the regular sheets. So this is something I added, but I added it been doing it now for 32 weeks. All right, here we look at the active listings condos, 1149, so they're up some. Sold 17, down a lot, and of course affected like all the other sales. Active under contract 103, pending 16, total under contract 119, withdrawal 7, expired 20, new condos sold still at 0. Okay, and they added 1 new condo in the active inventory. All right, so how did people pay for these? All right, well, as we look at, you know, cash generally is higher with the condos. So here we look at, you know, almost 59% were cash deals, conventional 41, no FHA, no VA, and no others. So it was just cash and conventional this week. Over here on the right, I show you the amount of units. We had a total 17 sold. So as you can see, 10 were cash and 7 were conventional. All right, we look over here now at our foreclosure numbers. All right, these here, we've got 10 were in foreclosure, 1 in pre-foreclosure, and 2 in short sales. That brings us a total of 13, so it did jump a little bit this week. All right, next we take a look here at the same list. You know, this is just like the others for the most part here, where we look at what percentage that's sold under list, at list, and above list. So you can see with condos, it's definitely a higher number that's sold under list, and none of them sold above list. Here over here on the right is the numbers, and that was 15 units at under list, 2 at list. All right, when we break it down in by the pricing categories, we can see here that a $500,000 and up, it was over 17.5%. So that did drop some. And again, remember, these numbers are going to probably be skewed. And there we look in the 400s, you know, and the 300s was tied. And then also the condos in the 200 range, you know, had a pretty good jump there and a high percentage, okay? And then condos below 200 were almost 30%. All right, when we look over here on the side, we look at the amount of units, and we see right there was only 17, but we see there that that 200 range, you know, seems to be that popular spot this week. Okay, once again, nothing new in the news, so we go on to the next. All right, this here is where I look at the amount of total stories of the unit. Complex, not the unit itself, but the complex, because the law goes by the complex. If a complex is 3 stories and above, it is falls under that new law. All right, where they've got to keep up these reserves for maintenance, and that's what's causing the problem here with these increased assessments and HOA fees. All right, so we look just to see if there's a trend in more people buying condos under 3 stories, all right? In this week here, we've got 5 people bought a 1-story condo complex, 10 people bought in a complex that was 2 stories, 1 in a 3, and 1 in a 7. There's our total of 17. Now, because they also go by the age of the condominiums, 25 years for coastal, 30 inland, for the most part, that's how that figures out. So what we look here is what I've done is these are individual condos, okay? So that first one, it was a 1-story condo, was built in 1982. That second one was a 1985 condo. You know, that was 1 story. The other one was a 1-story, and it was built in 1983. So what I'm going to do is just, and it goes all the way down, I'm just going to scroll down, and then you can pause the video as you see fit. All right, next we're looking at the counties where these condos were sold. Okay, here we can see none in Clay, and there was 12 in Duval County, 4 in St. Johns, and 1 in Nassau, and there's our total of 17. Okay, right here now what I do is I take the difference one. These are the ones that sold below the list price. So I show you what the original list price was, what the closed price was, which is your sold price, and the amount of difference. And so this gives you an idea of how much these people are taking off for those condos. And some of them, like you see, there, look at the third one down. It started at $228 and ended up selling, you know, for $180, so $48,000 less. All right, the next segment I do is what is called Houses of the Week, and that's where I take a house that sold below list and above list, and then I give you the numbers and we look it out and we look at the history of it, see how long it was on the market before it sold, see if there's an appreciation factor in there. It depends. Some are new homes, and so we don't have that. And I look at all this data for you and look at the price per square foot that it also sold for. So we take a look at all that. But before I get to that, what I want to do, well, I'm going to get to why I said this is the perfect time to buy, to look at a house to buy. If you're looking to buy, this is the perfect time to call for a showing of a house. And just want to let you know that this house that I'm in front of here today, it's going to be featured on my Sunday night show. All right, the reason I said that, we just came out of a hurricane that came across the state, right? Okay, by the time you're seeing this video, that it'll have gone through, all right? Dumped a torrential amount of rain. That is the perfect time to go look at the houses. That's right. Not necessarily after a hurricane goes through, but after a lot of rain. Because you want to see, because we've seen so many things where things are in X flood zones, and still people had flooding. And you see a lot of that comes through when these hurricanes go through the center of the state, and that happened a couple of times here already in Florida. Well, this is the perfect time after the rain. See what the roads are like. You know, in areas like this out here in a rural area, you do have some dirt roads. How did they hold up? How did the yard hold up? How did the lawn hold up? There's some low-lying areas out here in Northeast Florida, that's right. And some of those even have drain fields that are elevated. How did the ground hold out? Did it drain well? As the streets, was there flooding? You know, how did the house look? Do you see water dripping in through a kitchen? I've seen that happen one time. So this is that's why I say it's the perfect time. If you're out looking to buy a home right now, okay, in this time, this is the perfect weekend to go out for a showing. And if you're interested in using me to schedule that showing for you and show you some houses, then just give me a call at this number here, or you can shoot me an email and then I'll make arrangements with you. All right, and something else that happened also last week, before we get to these houses of the week, I talked about, you know, a scenario where somebody went to a new home builder, went to the model home, even though they signed a buyer contract with the other agent, and that other agent's out of it, but then they could have put themselves in a predicament where they would have had to pay that buyer's agent's broker on top of seeing the mobile home, not the mobile home, the new home, and then they wouldn't have gotten any better deal either, because they're not cutting the price. It's already figured in their cost of business, okay? So if you're using me, I had people asking, Tom, do you also help us with showing new homes? Yes, I do. And if you use me, I do have a special offer that the builder isn't going to offer you, and that the builder's rep isn't going to offer you. But if you don't contact me first before you contact the builder, you don't get it. All right. Okay, let's go now to those houses of the week and see how they played out. All right, we're going to start off here with the house that sold below list price. Built in 2024, yes, it is a new home, and this is a standalone home. It's in Bradford County. It's 1,846 square feet. Okay, it's on half an acre. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. So let's take a look at the history. Now, when we look at all these histories, we start here at the bottom. This is the price they started at. And this one here started at $499,000. Over here on the right column is the days on the market. That's what DOM is. Okay, and then over on the left shows different events that happened through the course of the history. Okay, so we look here. They did reduce the price after about 25 days, and then they got an offer for $410,000 after 108 days on the market, which they took. All right, now this here, they lowered it to $425 after 47 days on the market, and then they got their offer of $410 after 108 days on the market. Okay, so some of these houses are sitting on the market for a while. Okay, and I don't know, also, not all the agents put a vlog video of their houses on YouTube, like I do, to where I get it exposed to more buyers. So I'm just saying, I don't know. I mean, they did try some open houses, but I don't know if this one's on YouTube or not. All right, we look back here and we see that the price per square foot for this house was $222. And since it was a new construction home, we won't have an appreciation calculator on this one. Okay, the next house we're going to look at is a house that sold above list price. Okay, again, we're in Bradford County again, so Bradford's our favorite county for our homes of the week. This one here is 1,324 square feet. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. Now, when we look at the history on this one, okay, it started out at $519,900, okay? And then after 8 days on the market, so basically 1 week, they got an offer for $538,175, and they took it. Now, this one here, they didn't say anything about multiple offers, but I'm sure they had to have multiple offers, because why, after just 1 week, would somebody run the price up that much? And this one here, there were no concessions. So it was a deal where this was the price. Like, sometimes they will run up the price to cover concessions for the buyer. That wasn't the case at this time. All right, when we look at the price per square foot, this one here is $406 a square foot. Now, when you see a high square footage on that, what makes this one special is because it happens to be on one of the most sought after lakes here in this area, on Crystal Lake, which up here in this North Florida Lake region. And those homes are expensive around there for what you get. A lot of times they'll be older homes. A lot of them are concrete block homes. They used to be just regular lake houses. Now people live in them, they refurnish them, but they are more expensive. And this one here, it looks like this house was in the family since it was built, okay? There were looked like some quitclaim deeds that passed it on. It wasn't the original owner, so someone probably died and then they passed it on to the family. But because these lake homes, a lot of times, they just stay in the family, okay, until it gets to a point where a family member doesn't want the house anymore. But the lake homes, a lot of times, they don't sell, they just stay in the families. And this would appear may have happened here, and that's why I don't have an appreciation calculator on this. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is the condo that sold below list price. Okay, this one here, it's in St. Johns County. It's 1,300 square feet. Total stories is 1. Okay, it was built in 1982, but since it's just 1 story high, it's not affected by that 3-story and above, a law. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And if we look over here on the right here, we're going to see that the monthly association fee for this is $715. Wow. I mean, to me that's a lot. All right. So, but All right, now when we look at the history on this, it started out at $775,000, okay? And they kept it there for a while, okay? And after 39 days, they brought it down to $750,000. Okay, once they brought it down to $750,000 after 59 days on the market, they got an offer for $685,000 and they took it. So was this just way overpriced to begin with? Well, when we do an appreciation calculator, we'll let you figure that out. Before we get to the calculator, let's just take a look at this. Price per square foot, $526 a square foot. Okay, now when we look at what they paid for this house, they paid for it back in March of 2020, $420,000. And when we put all that into an appreciation calculator, in just a little over 4.5 years, they ended up with over 11% per year appreciation in this market, okay? So, you know, they bought it in 2020. They got advantage, took advantage of that high appreciation. It was so high that they had some dips. So yes, I feel that that asking price was way over if they've got over 11% in that short a period of time. So they had no problems taking $685,000 for this condo. All right, I've given you a lot of information here to try to decide. I know some of you are trying to think like, oh, I'm going to try to time this market and stuff like that and buy. Well, you know, most people that time the market, it doesn't work, okay? You got to do what's best for you in the current situation and what you can do. All right, so this is week 22, and it is in the can. And until Sunday night, I'm out of here.